Could Deebo Samuel be on his way to Baltimore? According to a new report, the Baltimore Ravens want to add the 49ers All-Pro receiver. We'll dive into that possibility and more coming up on this edition of Ravens Rundown. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Before we look at this possibility and go over the numbers and analysis on the potential move, we want to hear from you. Would you like to see the Ravens trade for Deebo Samuel? If so, like the video. Don't jinx it. Show some love. Tap that like button. Just give it a little tickle. If you want Deebo, he's all yours if you like the video. That's all you got to do. We'll get started with today's show. According to a new report, Jason La Canfora of the Washington Post, NFL insider, did a radio interview just yesterday. And according to La Canfora, the Ravens have reached out to the 49ers about Deebo Samuel, and it's very clear. They want Deebo Samuel in Baltimore. Here's more from Inside Access 105.7, tweeting out the following. With the Ravens creating cap room, some of it could be earmarked for a wide receiver. We heard they reached out to San Francisco about Deebo's availability. That's a no, at least for now, and are watching the Chargers wide receiver situation closely, one getting cut or traded. They also need edge help as well. Now, I can tell you this right now. A move for Deebo Samuel, it ain't going to be cheap, all right? I mean, when you talk about what it's going to cost in trade compensation, in addition to paying him, it's a lot to take on to bring him to Baltimore potentially. But with that said, Deebo Samuel is still one of the best receivers in all the National Football League, and he's kind of like a five-tool player of sorts, right? He's not just a very good receiver and pass catcher, but the way that the Niners have used him effectively as a ball carrier as well, he's dynamic. And you get him in this Todd Monken Ravens offense, he'd be explosive and would be huge for what the Ravens could accomplish with him there as their one of their top receivers. More on Deebo Samuel here. He's still relatively young, an East Coast native, as he played his college ball at South Carolina, 2019 second-round pick by the Niners. 2021 was definitely his best season, as he was a first-team All-Pro and a Pro Bowler, led the NFL in yards per catch that season with 18.2. So you get the explosive playmaking ability from Deebo Samuel as a deep threat, which would be a nice complement to Zay Flowers, who's more of a possession receiver. And here's the numbers we're talking about when it comes to Deebo Samuel as both a pass catcher and also as a runner. You can see this past year, 60 catches with 15 yards of reception. Also had 37 carries with 6.1 yards per carry on the ground. So a good balance. You can get a lot out of him both as a receiver and in the run game potentially as well. So let's ask you guys, before we go into my trade idea and show you what the Ravens offense could look like with Deebo Samuel, want to hear from you. Will the Ravens do so? We asked you earlier if you want him. Now what do you think? Will the Ravens be able to pull this off? Why for yes and for no? Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think. We are covering all things Ravens free agency, trade rumors, and more here on the channel. Anytime the Ravens have been making moves, we've been talking about it with the signings, the Morgan Moses trade yesterday, and we are not slowing down by any means, folks. We're just about a week into free agency, but things are certainly going to be heating up, and we're going to be all over it here on the channel. Anytime the Ravens make a move, we're going to talk about it. If they add Deebo Samuel, you better believe we're going to talk about it here on Ravens Rundown. We are your Ravens free agency and off-season headquarters. Join the family. Subscribe now. Help us reach our next milestone of 16,000 subs right here on Ravens Rundown by Chet Sparks. Best part about it is 100% free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Subscribe now for free. You'd be glad you did. So, according to Jason La Canfora, prior to his reporting on the Ravens wanting Deebo Samuel, he put out another report that said that he had spoken with an NFL GM that behind closed doors, league circles, there is a belief that the 49ers will trade Deebo Samuel at this point, some point this offseason, that a deal will get done. They ultimately move on. What will it ultimately cost? Here's what I'm looking at. With Deebo Samuel still very much in the prime of his career, a very young receiver at this point in time, it ain't going to be cheap. Remember, the money that he's making on top of the trade compensation, I think if you want to pull this off, you're looking at a minimum, the Ravens giving up their first-round pick at number 30 overall, and then also giving up about a fourth-round pick at 130 to get this done. Now, with the comp picks the Ravens got, you do have more picks now, so you could potentially depart from some guys. But in a moment, I'm going to explain why this ultimately makes sense. If the Ravens are committing to all in and competing for this next year, which is what we believe, then if you're the Baltimore Ravens, this ought to be something that you should do. Because here's what we're looking at here. If the Ravens, let's say tomorrow, got a trade done for Deebo Samuel, this is what your Ravens offense would all of a sudden look like. Lamar Jackson, the two-time MVP, the future Hall of Famer, leading the way at the quarterback position. You just brought in Derrick Henry to be your number one running back on a 2-year deal, and he's hyped to be here, and he's going to play a significant role. You got Keaton Mitchell coming off a very good rookie season off of the injury, and he and Henry are going to have this 1-2 thunder and lightning punch in the running back room. Then you got, of course, Deebo Samuel, who we just talked about, and the explosiveness he would bring to the receiver room for the Baltimore Ravens alongside Zay Flowers, the more possession receiver. Rashad Bateman, he had a down year last year, but there is an expectation among the Ravens organization that Rashad Bateman's going to have a bounce-back year in 2024, that the former first-round pick is going to play to his full potential. And I haven't even talked about the tight ends yet. Mark Andrews, one of the top 3 tight ends in football, he's going to be a future Hall of Famer. Isaiah Likely coming off a very impressive second-year campaign. I forgot to mention, even Derrick Henry's obviously a future Hall of Famer too. This would be an explosive offense, and it leads me to the next question. Who is stopping this offense? It would be incredibly explosive to have all those weapons, right? And if you're the Baltimore Ravens, I think you have to look at it. There's kind of 2 goals in mind, right? With the offense as is, you are going to think, I think you'll see the Ravens take a significant step up offensively to make up for what they're about to lose defensively. With all the free agents on the defensive side of the ball, with Mike McDonald gone now, it's the next Seahawks head coach. The mentality for the Baltimore Ravens has to be the offense needs to make up for what we're going to lose in the defense, right? And then the next question after that is, how are we going to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs? For me, I look at that team that's won 3 Super Bowls now, that's been to the AFC Championship however many number of years in a row now. If you're the Baltimore Ravens, all eyes are competing and beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not worried about the Cincinnati Bengals or the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Buffalo Bills or the Miami Dolphins. The team that is standing in the Baltimore Ravens' way of getting to the Super Bowl is the Kansas City Chiefs. And when you're putting this offense together, when you're assembling this team, you need to ask yourself, how do we compare to Kansas City? Is this enough to get past Kansas City? All eyes need to be focused on those Kansas City Chiefs. When this team's breaking the huddle this year, when they're in meetings, it's all about beat KC. It's beat KC. That's the mantra going forward, and that's what this Ravens team has to think about from here. Now, as far as the Deebo Samuel trade goes, one important note. I don't expect a trade any time in the next few weeks. The Ravens may want Deebo Samuel, but in the Niners' best interest, they would be in a situation where it's best for them if they wait till post-June 1. Then they would save $22 million, and the dead money would only be $6.6 million for the San Francisco 49ers to take on there. What's your confidence level in the Ravens offense right now? With Derrick Henry a part of the fold, no Deebo Samuel there yet, no other big-time receivers at the moment. How are you feeling about this group? I don't think it's good enough to beat Kansas City at the moment. Add in Deebo Samuel, then we start to get another step forward from there. What's your confidence level right now? Scale of 1 through 10. If you enjoyed today's show, if you want Deebo Samuel in Baltimore, like the video. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.